What I wish I knew at 18 instead of 28? That Young Elder News 9 would be my go-to for all things news and more. Broadcasting live worldwide, we've got over 3 million listeners tuned in every day. From world news to stock markets, government topics to the quirkiest stories, we cover it all on Young Elder TV. And remember, folks, you heard it here first. Our friendly team brings you the latest scoops with a dash of that good old Southern charm. Whether you're curious about the latest political twists or need the lowdown on the economy, we're your go-to source. We make sure you're always in the know, in the most engaging and entertaining way possible. So buckle up, y'all. It's time to dive into the world of Young Elder News 9, where the news is always fresh, fun, and downright fascinating. Stay tuned, spread the word, and remember, you heard it here first. Young Elder News 9, the hottest show in the game.
They chopping me up, y'all. Can y'all hear me clear? Hey, Robot family. We was going to bring this to you this morning, but the Rod Hayes tape, we didn't want to mess up the algorithm because we needed that tape to get out. And it's got up to a lot of plays now. But the IRS shut down, officially shut down, right? The crooks, the Inquisition Revenue Services, officially Trump talking, man. He talking real heavy, man. We gonna get to it, man. Trump talking about he transferring, like everything Rob been saying is starting to make sense now. Trump is saying that he transferring the IRS, the Inquisition Revenue Services, now into the internal revenue services, meaning that they're not going to be collecting money for the popes and the crown no more, right? For the popes of Rome and the crown. Now they're going to be socking it back to Americans' pocket, right? But like I said, don't bite down into what Trump got going on completely, people, because Trump is secretly with Ashtar Command, who are white supremacists. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. You heard it. Young said it. Don't get mad. Don't be in shock when he say I can't hear me. Say you can't hear me. Can y'all hear me? Yo, so what it is, like, it's, see how they do me, y'all? Clear internet, 100%. People say they can't hear me. That's how they do me. That's crazy. All right, somebody say I'm good. All right, yo, so check this. Donald Trump, we're gonna play the clips, right, of what he talking about. But he talking about now he cutting off the parasites, right? This is what we getting, right? According to what we listen to, he cutting off the parasites, and now he finna funnel that money back into the United States government and school systems, essentially, right? But he a businessman, so you gotta look at it like that. But like I said, don't bite down into what Trump got going on completely, because he a no-mos. He Ashtar Command, man. I'm telling you, man. But let's get into some of these clips so we can start breaking some of this stuff down of what's going on. If you're just not coming in, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. This is Young 9 News, your hood anchor man, bringing it to you live October 8th. The IRS is officially closed. They're laying off about let me get the documents. Let me get the documents pulled up. Some people don't like the way I talk, right? Some people do. It's a hood country slang. That's what we call it, hood country slang. But we here to bring you some news you can use. Y'all TV, man, get them in the building. The IRS is officially shut down October 8th, 2025. They laid off a lot of people. 34,000 employees have been laid off from the IRS. Now let's play a clip from what Trump said. Listen
On
to
day
Trump.
one, I immediately halted the hiring of any new IRS agents. You know, they hired or tried to hire 88,000 new workers to go after you, and we're in the process of developing a plan to either terminate all of them or maybe we'll move them to the border. I think we're going to move them to the border. Well, they're allowed to carry guns. You know, they're so strong on guns. But these people are allowed to carry guns, so we'll probably move them to the border. Yeah. She said no tax on it. How about just no tax?
He gonna bring in 3.5 years of good, and then once he get the parasite, take 3.5 years of his term getting the parasites off of you, and then them last 6 months of his term, he turned. We talk about this in the NGL. We already told y'all about this. He gonna make it look good. He gonna make everything better again, make America great again for 3.5 years. It's gonna be 42 months. Go read the NGL. You think it's a joke? You think it's all comic book? But you about to see what time it is. You about to see that earthquake hit, the greatest earthquake like you never seen before. Right? It could be staged, but it's like this. It is what it is. But like I say, Trump said they was going to hire 8,800 people to come after us. You heard what he said? What president you heard talking like this guy, man? This guy's a renegade. He a renegade to the elites unless they setting us up with the good cop, bad cop method. The good cop, bad cop method. You know, they send the good cop in. He say, hey, you want a cigarette? Oh, you want a bag of chips? You want a honey bun? Them guys being mean to you, no problem. I'm gonna back them guys off of you. And then boom, he with the same guys. They still the police. He's still the police. Right? Even in jail, when you in jail, on the yard, anywhere, in the pen, all the Vics know that, hey, that security correctional officer, he the police. He's still the police. It don't matter if he ain't on the streets with a badge like the other police. He's still a police. He the police on the pen, on the yard. All people that been to the pen of it. So it's like that part. He's still the government. He still was with them same guys, with all them guys. Diddy, all of them. Right? And Diddy only got 4 years, by the way. I don't know if y'all heard the announcement, but Diddy got 4 years. And he already been in there for so long already, so they're going to give him time served probably on that. Diddy will be out in 2 years, if he ain't already out. If that wasn't his clone, they're going to do the little 2 years on the slap on the wrist that he got. Yeah, the IRS is shut down, I think, and at this point, it could be completely gone based on what Trump said. But let me play a clip and get you more into it.
All right, guys, it's over. The IRS as we know it is done. Yesterday, over 30% of the IRS's auditors resigned in a single day. Why? Because President Donald Trump just pulled the pin on the biggest financial shakeup in American history. And that's not even the half of it. In fact, at the very same time, right? Very quietly, Social Security just made a change that will permanently impact how every American accesses their identity, their benefits, their future. But there was no press conference. There was no big rollout. But if you're on SSI or SSDI, let me know down in the comments. Or if you're just planning to retire one day in the future, you need to know what just happened. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys exactly why President Trump's war against the IRS is just the beginning and what he's planning to do with your taxes next. We also need to talk about how your Social Security card's going fully digital this summer and what that really means for your privacy. And why Biden's quiet $8,000 checks for federal retirees, they've got people asking, where's mine? Comment down below if you did not yet get an $8,000 Social Security check yet. I want to hear from you guys. Guys, This is not a drill. This is a permanent shift. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why some are calling this the end of the IRS and the beginning of a cashless, government-tracked future. So stick with me, guys, because we're going to go ahead and expose the truth like we always do right here on the Ron Yates channel. I really appreciate the support. Oh, and if you haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So first things first, we need to talk about the resignations that just rocked the IRS. Okay. So according to the internal agency sources and corroborated headlines, 31% of IRS tax auditors just quit. Think about that. 31% of IRS tax auditors just quit. That's right, guys. So that's like 1/3 of their entire enforcement staff gone overnight. Why? Because President Trump and his Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, just made it very clear. The days of government overreach through endless audits, they're over. And so here's the kicker. This was the plan all along. Trump signed an executive order halting all new IRS hiring, freezing expansion efforts, and making sure that not a single new agent will be brought in under his watch. Now, if you've ever been audited, drop a quick yes in the comments down below and let me know how much you enjoyed that process. But now, why is this such a big deal? Well, it's because under President Biden, they wanted to add 87,000 new agents. And let me know if you heard that those 87,000 new IRS agents were armed with guns or not. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Anyway, so these 87,000 new IRS agents, they were aimed directly at auditing small businesses, middle class.
And pretty much you already know the drill coming after us, to sum it up, you know, right? Set us down, rob us blind, because they jackers. They free grazers, I tell you. The IRS is free grazers. Free grazing off Big Mama lands. They've been free grazing off Big Mama land the whole time. And that's why Big Mama's land looked like it looked. Like Rod said. Look at who else was that name? Orlando Brown. That's his name, right? Orlando. Just think of his last name. I might have the last name right. Orlando Brown said that look at Dubai and look at America. It's places in America that still look like that in 1920s. I know downtown in my town, it still look like it's the 1960s in my city. You know what I'm saying? And they got a whole bunch of casinos down there. How you got $1 million casinos in your town? The only thing that look good is the road leading to the casino. All the other roads tore up. You'll tear your whole front end off your car going to the grocery store. Right, and they got about $10 billion worth of casinos all downtown. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, America's been getting robbed, and even like it's like we took the lesser two evils, or the lesser of the evils, right? So Trump coming in, he's sticking the finger to the guy. It seemed like, right? Let's roll another tape. Because that guy there seemed like he might have like Trump a little bit. We kind of like Trump a little bit that he sticking to the guy. He doing something like, look, I ain't got no problem with a bad guy sticking it to another bad guy. You know what I'm saying? But don't get it twisted though. We're gonna let them go on stick it to each other. But then when he get through sticking it to him, we still watching you though. We ain't taking no eye for you. We know where you come from now, Trump. We know we know the black hand, white glove is in on this because they the ones that really had the hoods on. We already know. And Trump people connected with them, and they connect with the Germans, Germans, right? Put that in your brain and put that up in your pipe and take a hit of that.
Told you the biggest scam ever pulled on the American people is finally coming to an end. The Trump administration has put the IRS on the chopping block, and it's about fucking time. Income tax, gone. Payroll taxes, gone. Estate tax, gone. The IRS, gone. This isn't speculation. Congress just introduced the Fair Tax Act of 2025, and it's about to flip everything upside down. Instead of taxing your paycheck even before you see it, the bill abolishes federal income tax and replaces it with the national sales tax, letting you keep your money. Why is this a game changer for the economy? This will boost economic growth. No more income tax draining your wealth before you even spend it. More money in your hands equals more spending, investing, and business creation. This will empower entrepreneurs because no more payroll taxes suffocating small businesses means hiring just got easier and starting a business just became way more profitable. This stops double taxation as well, because right now your money gets taxed when you earn it, when you invest it, and when you pass it on. But not everyone is happy about this. The Democratic Party doesn't want to lose federal control over you, and you better believe special interests are scrambling to fight this. Why? Because this bill takes power away from them and puts it back into your hand. What's the biggest takeaway for you? America was never meant to be a tax farm. The power to create businesses, transact in commerce, and build wealth is a constitutional right, not a privilege granted by the IRS.
You heard it there, right? So pretty much they've been robbing us blind. And the reason why the Democrats don't want to get rid of it is because they really infiltrated with aristocrats. And those aristocrats are working on behalf of the private bankers at the Federal Reserve. This is all the Federal Reserve was at the start of our problem. Well, it wasn't the start of our, it was one of the main key pivot points in our problems over here. 1913 Federal Reserve, Woodrow Wilson, signed over the land. At least he thought he did. But then when they lost the land, they got the people. All we working on is getting the minds right now up to speed on what this is a republic. Always will, always was, and it just is what it is. The Democrats need to get over it. Go read the Pledge of Allegiance again. How many times we got to say it? All right?
There is no law, and to date, nobody has been able to show that there is a law for the average American citizen working day in and day out to pay an income tax.
But We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put a full-page ad in the USA Today on July 7th, 2000. And within the body of that ad was a $50,000 challenge for anyone that could show the law. And to me, $50,000 is a lot of money. So I went after that and did the research based on the fact that I thought, let's put this baby to bed. I'm hearing all these rumors. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'll answer these people's questions that are asking me, and then I'll win this $50,000. And, based on the research that I did throughout the year 2000 and that I'm still doing, I have not found that law. I've asked Congress. We've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers. They can't answer, because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud.
There is no law. There is no law that requires the average American worker in the private sector to pay a direct, unapportioned tax on their labor and compensation for services. There is no law.
I really expected that, of course, there's a law that you can point to in the law book, the code, that requires you to file a tax return. Of course there is. Maybe I don't know what it is right then as he was speaking to me, but sure. So naively, I agreed to go off and research it and get back to him. 3.5 months later, I was at that point where I couldn't find the statute that clearly made a person liable, at least not me and most people I know, and I had no choice in my mind except to resign.
I had to leave the IRS because I presented evidence that I had accumulated indicating that the agency was violating the law and violating people's rights. And I asked the agency for a response to my sincere concerns. And the answer I got was that they would not respond to my concerns and that they would provide me with the paperwork necessary to tender my resignation.
You can look through the statutes and look for the law that requires you to pay. And when you do that, you can't identify a law that requires the average person in America who earns a wage and works in private business to pay an income tax.
American citizens, along with the foundation, have been asking the IRS to specifically provide them with the underlying legal foundation upon which
they administer and enforce the personal income tax laws in our country.
At the national level, when people would attempt to contact somebody of a much higher authority, say the commissioner, same kind of thing. They would get answers that were in effect non-answers.
You have to understand that an agency which will unlawfully impose a tax that doesn't exist is not going to care. If we, the people, don't know what our rights are, they're not going to tell us.
If Americans just learned that the IRS was actually knowingly deceiving them, that would be enough for them to rise up and put a stop to it.
100% of what is collected is absorbed solely by interest on the federal debt. All individual income tax revenues are gone before 1 nickel is spent on the services taxpayers expect from government. People have been told, that you need this income tax system to fund government, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, my question is, well, if that's true, how did we fund government from 1776 to 1913?
The main purpose of the income tax is not to raise revenue, but to redistribute wealth and to control society.
A lot of people might say, well, gee, if there wasn't an income tax, what would happen to education? They don't understand that education is paid for the most part, out of state and local taxes, your property tax. People might say, well, how are we going to build and maintain our highways if there's no money coming into the government? We need our highways. There is a tax on every gallon of gasoline that people buy. Proceeds from the income tax do not pay for highway construction.
I believe that in both spirit and substance, our tax system has come to be un-American. Death and taxes may be inevitable, but unjust taxes are not.
This small booklet includes the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. This is a document that every citizen should read. It's a document which freed an entire nation. This is the Internal Revenue Code, and this document, and the unlawful application of this document by the Internal Revenue Service has enslaved the nation that this document attempted to free.
You heard it there, right? You heard it there. The Constitution versus a whole nother doctrine that pretty much the Inquisition. That's to sum it up. It's the Inquisition, right? Now they said some interesting things in this tape about there's no law stating that you got to pay taxes. There is no law. It's a voluntary compliance. That's the word they use, right? That sound creepy, right? Voluntary compliance. That means if you a sheep and you're getting lined up for slaughter, you're gonna get in line because everybody else is getting in line, and it's what you should do. It's the right thing to do. Everybody else is doing it, right? If everybody else jump off a bridge, you gonna jump off, right? So that's what pretty much what voluntary compliance is. You volunteer your rights over. You volunteer all your over. Then you accept privileges. If you're a good guy. If you're a bad guy, they put felony on your record and take your privileges. Now you can't do nothing. You barely even get a job in their system. This is who these guys are, man. Don't get it twisted.
The Federal Reserve is a privately owned, non-auditable banking cartel collecting $36 million an hour from the American people. So what I had to do, Mike, is I had to decide whether I was going to be an informed slave or get off the plantation. I decided to get off the plantation. At that point, I started educating people about what's going on. The main thing that's going on right now is people are asking a lot of questions. One of the major questions is, well, if the income tax goes away, how are we going to run the country? Now, the two things that I tell them, first of all, back in 1984, Ronald Reagan was president, and he commissioned what's called the Grace Commission. This commission came out with a report, and the report basically states that none of the money that is collected in income tax goes towards running the country. It goes towards the Federal Reserve, the national debt. So
none of the money for the federal tax that's coming out of your check, it goes to the private-owned bankers. We're paying, I think it's up to $3 billion an hour, or maybe $8 billion an hour. I think when it's gonna be a tape where she say we was paying $36 million an hour, but now, and I think that was like 7 or 8, maybe 10 years ago. But now it's up to I think $3 to $8 billion an hour in interest, in interest. That's not towards the debt. Matter of fact, we can never pay the debt. It's a phantom debt. They locked us into a phantom debt system. Here they go chopping me up. Hey, y'all.
In the Internal Revenue Code, Title 26, there's nothing specific in there. Yes.
You have to understand that an agency which will unlawfully impose a tax that doesn't exist.
There are many people in America today who believe that there's no law that requires them to pay an income tax or file a 1040. And there are many people going to jail for it, fighting over it.
The Internal Revenue Code is authorized by the 16th Amendment.
What does voluntary compliance mean?
And why does the IRS code say it's voluntary to comply, not mandatory?
That's a word euphemism we use. We use voluntary compliance when we talk about traffic signals.
Traffic laws state that it is mandatory to stop at a red light. The IRS code says it's voluntary to comply. Yet he wants us to believe that they mean the same thing.
So can the government criminally prosecute somebody of information put on their 1040?
Yes.
Right, so doesn't that violate the Fifth Amendment?
No.
But the Fifth Amendment says I don't have to do anything that incriminates myself.
Well, it doesn't incriminate you to put your income down.
But you said before I could be put in jail for it.
The commissioner wants us to believe that although the IRS demands that you fill out the 1040 and you can go to jail for it, that they are not violating your Fifth Amendment rights of self-incrimination.
I believe that a man's labor is his private property.
That's your view, but it's not the law.
All they need to do, if there is a law, is to show us the law, which, of course, they never did.
And the reason they didn't do it was why?
Because there is no law.
Called me. She said, I have a question for you. Are we supposed to pay income tax or not? And I said, okay. Do you want the cuffed answer or do you want the real answer? She said, I want the real answer. I said, well, I really don't know. You know, even though I'm a former IRS agent, I haven't done the research, but I hear that there's a credible body of evidence out there that says that we don't owe the income tax. I was okay. I mean, I took the...
I'll accept it from the Internal Revenue Service, and our service is based on voluntary compliance, a faith and belief that the service is on their side.
But every American, if we're going to have voluntary compliance at the high rate we continue to have in America, it's got to be perceived as a fair system. That what's asked of...
Yeah, so you saw how he said that, man? How that last the chairman guy, he said, man, you know, because he probably raking in $20,000 a month in bonus checks off of collecting money. So he like, yeah, it's voluntary compliance. I mean, who's complaining about it? Why even mention it? I mean, nobody who's saying anything about it. Like it's how they are, man. This is who these people are. They gotta act when you call them out on like, hey man, this is a fraud. They say, well, I mean, come on, man. You know, everybody's getting beat. The whole world's getting beat. I mean, why are you complaining? You know what I'm saying? It's like that type of thing. It's who these guys are, man.
What did you write on your letter to the IRS?
No problem. I told the IRS that I am non-taxable. That's not the same thing as tax exempt, because if you're tax exempt, you're asking permission to not pay taxes. But I am non-taxable because I am a living woman who does not reside in the DC zip code. I sent it as an affidavit, so I gave the IRS ample time to respond to me if they have any rebuttal at all. And if I do not get a response, then I assume that, you know, I can continue living out my rights as a non-taxable living woman.
Guys, that's not how this works.
Código Postal, zip code. Like I told you, this all leads back to the puppet master known as the Postmaster General. Hey, watch the tape and the link in the description is called "The Last Flag Standing." Right? Watch that tape. It's gonna break down the postmaster, and then if you watch the tape that's gonna roll into this, they're gonna roll out to this tape about this Inquisition Revenue Services that I just put out on the video side. It pretty much break down who these guys are and what they all about. Right? Let's roll another one. We gotta roll all of them so we can do a commentary.
The income tax which is being applied now doesn't meet the criteria of either direct or indirect taxes.
The IRS claims that in 1913, the 16th Amendment, the Income Tax Amendment, allowed the government a third form of taxation. What was the Supreme Court's ruling on that?
The Supreme Court in the case of Stanton versus Baltic Mining. I mean, what could be clearer than this? The provisions of the 16th Amendment conferred no new power of taxation.
The Ruschauer case also said that the 16th Amendment did not impose any new taxes and did not change any of the taxing restrictions of the Constitution.
There were also several other major Supreme Court cases in that same period from 1916 up until about 1923.
Stratton Independence versus Hobart, Southern Pacific versus Lowe, Bowers versus Curbo Empire, Burnett versus Harmel, Doyle versus Mitchell.
It's actually very simple. Congress tried to enact an income tax in 1894.
The IRS isn't real. It's a private company stealing your paycheck. Back in 1913, a bunch of rich fucks got together and they said, we're going to create this company and decide exactly how you get taxed. And then by misinforming you and making sure you don't get access to real information, we're going to convince you that every year you need to pay tax. And how we're going to do that is by making sure we educate you on how to be an employee and have a W-2 salary. Because the tax book that employees operate out of is the heaviest, highest tax burden. We're just not going to tell them how to become investors where they will pay a lower tax by being the business owners, by drilling wells, by producing energy, by getting into real estate. We're going to give incentives because those ultimately end up being the banks and the buildings and the towers and the stuff that we actually want to own. We're going to give incentives here. We're just not going to teach you how to do it because we really like making money off the poor here. That is what the IRS does, is they take advantage of you. It should be called the IRFS, Internal Revenue Fucking Service.
As we all know, that our U.S. tax system is a voluntary tax system, and we depend on people willing every year to sit down, fill out that form, and pay their appropriate amount of taxes. So I really think enforcement is a reward to those who voluntarily comply. And I think if the public does not see that the IRS is enforcing the laws, we're going to be at risk of losing people continuing to voluntarily comply.
Okay, so I want to explain this. How could taxation be voluntary for some and mandatory for others? Allow me to explain. As we can see here, right here in the tax return forms and instructions, it clearly states that the tax system is based on voluntary compliance. What does that mean? And if you go to the IRS website, look at their criminal investigation reports every single year and go search for the word voluntary. And you'll see they'll tell you compliance with the tax laws in the United States depends heavily on taxpayer self-assessment of the amount of tax, voluntary filing of tax returns, and remittance of any tax owed. This is frequently termed voluntary compliance. Once again, the integrity of our tax system depends heavily on taxpayers' willingness to self-assess taxes owed and voluntarily file tax returns. Now, I don't want to overwhelm with information, but there's no such thing as an income tax, really. Everything you pay to the IRS is considered as a gift or bequest to or for the use of the United States. And if you dive deep into the law, you'll see that this is printed over and over and over and over because they have to properly disclose that everything you think you pay an income tax is a gift or bequest, and a gift does not need to be returned. Now, why does our tax system depend so heavily on taxpayers self-assessing the amount of tax that they owe? Because all along, you've been allowed to report all your income on your taxes, but declare it as non-taxable. So this is a Federal Reserve note. This is America's default currency. We all use this, we get paid in this, and when we buy groceries or gifts for family, this is the type of money that we use. And think about it. Since this bank, the Federal Reserve, prints this currency, they make your life easier, right? They do, and they know that. So at the end of the year, they charge everybody a service fee or convenience fee for using the bills that they print. That convenience fee is called income tax. Every Federal Reserve note that gets printed into circulation becomes an obligation of the U.S. government to pay back directly to the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a private corporation. And Uncle Sam passes the bill to us. Paying off this national debt to these Federal Reserve bankers is the sole and only reason why we have an income tax. Now, this is 100% legal, and rich people do this every year. You're actually allowed to opt out of having to pay the service fee by demanding that your income be treated as United States notes, the older kind of money that used to be in circulation until the 70s. This may sound a little bit complicated, but by default, our money is taxable because it's Federal Reserve currency. You actually have a choice every single year when you file your taxes to demand that your income be treated as non-taxable notes issued by the U.S. Treasury. So this is what makes taxation voluntary, because all along you could have been filing your taxes, reporting your income as taxable, like 99.99% of uninformed Americans do, or you can declare your income as non-taxable, like the 1% do. Both of these are legal. The IRS will accept either tax return, but they want you to report your income, calculate what you owe, and pay what your bill says. You can simply use 12 U.S.C. 411 to have a $0 tax bill every single year. Now, this process works, and I'm telling you it works because I went through it as a client. When I did this process, I had $8,351 that came out of my pay during the year. When I filed my taxes with this process, I didn't just get back that $8,300, I actually got back $8,516, more than I ever paid into the tax system. I actually got paid a bonus in interest, an extra $160, because I'm not a taxpayer. I'm tax exempt. All that money that I gave to these people was a loan. And when you file with this process, you call that loan and due, you get 100% of your money refunded. If you don't get 100%, you'll probably get something like I did, 102% refund. Now, you can do the same thing. Being tax exempt is not just for the rich and the wealthy. I'm a regular person who used this process. Go to Taxpayer Shutdown 2025, watch the full video, register for the live workshop every Thursday, get all your questions answered. These people have CPAs that'll file your taxes for you with this tax exemption process. I'm only telling you this works because I'm someone who did it as a client, and I want people to know that this is the right way to do it.
We rely on voluntary compliance for our tax system, but we have systematic.
Voluntary compliance. Voluntary compliance. Sell your soul. You know what I'm saying? This is who these people are, man. You know? So we like what the brother was putting down right there. I'm gonna look more into it. Might do an AI tape on breaking down how to do that. We got a whole bunch of more tapes out. We got a tape coming out called about the signature. Let's go to the next one, man, because we got a couple more to play.
The biggest scam ever pulled on the American people is finally coming to an end. The Trump administration has put the IRS on the chopping block, and it's about fucking time. Income tax, gone. Payroll taxes, gone. Estate tax, gone. The IRS, gone. This isn't speculation. Congress just introduced the Fair Tax Act of 2025, and it's about to flip everything upside down. Instead of taxing your paycheck even before you see it, the bill abolishes federal income tax and replaces it with the national sales tax, letting you keep your money. Why is this a game changer for the economy? This will boost economic growth. No more income tax draining your wealth before you even spend it. More money in your hands equals more spending, investing, and business creation. This will empower entrepreneurs because no more payroll taxes suffocating small businesses means hiring just got easier and starting a business just became way more profitable. This stops double taxation as well because right now your money gets taxed when you...
I think he just said that. But somebody asked about what about state tax? I think eventually state tax will convert just like the regular, just like they finna convert the federal tax. So the federal tax got to go out because the Federal Reserve going out. The IRS is the first. The Federal Reserve really already gone, according to what Rod said. The IRS is gone now, and the people that's left, they finna convert that over, according to what Trump is. I think I got a clip in here breaking that down. They finna convert that over to the IRS system, which is the Internal Revenue System, and it's gonna be a national tax on a sale. I think it's gonna be a national sale tax. So the state might convert to a state sale tax, well, they tax it now, so that might be, you know, they might get it on the back end. You know, they might get the money back on the back end. So I think the taxes still gonna be going on. They just gonna change the way they was getting it from you. Instead of taking it from you, scratch your check, they gonna take it for you when you spend it. They already taking it from you when you spend it. For every dollar, let's say for every dollar you spend, you got to spend 10 cents on that dollar, right? So now, when they take the get rid of the IRS, the Inquisition Revenue Services, now to make up for the cover up, they're gonna charge you 30 cents or 40 cents on the dollar, and then take the rest of the money essentially, and then funnel it back to America's jobs and healthcare and schools, etc. But I don't think that's how it's gonna go. I think once they get it switched over, it's gonna funnel into the king's pocket. Who's the king? Donald Trump, the dictator, the new dictator, man. And then he gonna pass it right over to King Barron Trump, little Prince Barron Trump. Man, look, I'm telling you, man, people think young crazy, man. He a dictator, man. He in bed with Kim Jong-un. He the first president to walk over and shake his hand.
It was a Puerto Rican corporation, LLC, that belonged to the Federal Reserve. All monies collected would go to an account at the U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury would then transfer that money to an account in North Carolina that was parked in Bank of America, and then that money would be wired to the Bank of England in the UK. The Bank of England would then notify the Windsors, the royal family, and that money, whatever monies they didn't take out of those trillions of dollars, would then be loaned back to us here in the United States. With interest, of course. That's the truth of the racket. The Internal Revenue Law was never properly ratified. 3 states ratified it.
Man, you heard what he just said? He said he just broke down the whole money trail. He said the internal revenues pretty much you voluntary compliance pretty much, because that's what going to churches and they pass around a collection plate. When they pass around the collection plate, they do it's voluntary compliance. You're gonna voluntarily comply and pay your tax, what they call it, tithes and offerings. Right? And they look at you funny in some churches if you don't put nothing in there, $2, $3, you put $1 in there, $1.50 in there. They looking at you funny. All the time he got it, he gonna put $1.50 for God, only $1.50 for God, right? So it's the same thing. It's the IRS pass around the collection plate for the rich elites and the popes of Rome. And you voluntarily put your money in there. They collect that. They then act like it's going to the treasury so they can they can backdoor you. They send it to the treasury, U.S. Treasury. Then that money is transferred backdoor through a wire transfer to a bank a Bank of America in North Carolina. Then that money is then wire transferred to Switzerland in the hands of the elites. And he just named the family. We're gonna play it back one more time for you. And once that family get the money, they take their cut out of it, pocket it, and then whatever else is left off the money, they send it back to America with more interest. Who are these guys? And if they don't go away ASAP, come on, man, we ain't going for this no more. Nobody going for this no more. Nobody around the world is going for these guys' shenanigans no more. This mirage of bending over. This is a mirage, man. What's going on here, man? What else we got here?
As we all know that
it was a Puerto Rican corporation, LLC, that belonged to the Federal Reserve. All monies collected would go to an account at the U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury would then transfer that money to an account in North Carolina that was parked in Bank of America, and then that money would be wired to the Bank of England in the UK. The Bank of England would then notify the Windsors, the royal family, and that money, whatever monies they didn't take out of those trillions of dollars, would then be loaned back to us here in the United States.
All right, so let me run it back down. Just listen to it again. All right, so the Windsors, I guess that'd be the crown, the so-called royal family. They get their cut, so they go to the Bank of England from their Bank of America in North Carolina, from the U.S. Treasury. So these guys have been pretty much they the ushers, the plaster plate around for the church and the crown, seems like. And they said that their whole game is based on you volunteering to do it. So how long we been volunteering to do this? Man, how much money they done made off the volunteers? Man, that's an ultimate panhandler. So the IRS ain't nothing but panhandlers. We can say they allegedly. We gotta say allegedly for you to sound like the IRS is panhandling. The IRS be panhandling. What y'all think, man? That sound like panhandling? Voluntary compliance, and we hope, we wish, we survive, we thrive off you doing it. You voluntary. How that sound, man? And if you think you finna get off from under the gun, they just finna change the gun around, man. Get a new type of gun on you. That's who these guys until they go away completely. You still got 7 years of it started when Trump got in office. You got three and a half years of this guy coming in, doing turning everything around, running the bad guys off, making you cheer. It said that they would cheer. We would piss on them, and they would cheer. Yeah, as we piss on them, they'll cheer. That's how dumb the masses is. The masses is so dumb. The elites said that they'll pee on them, and they'll say it's rain and cheer. That's crazy, man. The psychological tactics that these guys are involved in, man. It's crazy.
And you still put yourself under these people and want to believe.
Play that last. That's the icing on the cake.
It seems like every day now, Donald Trump is making it a little bit harder for the American people to hate him and pissing off the rest of the world. He's working on a ceasefire in Palestine. He's standing up for TikTok. And now the pièce de résistance, the establishment of what he is calling the External Revenue Service. I'm not kidding. To offset, apparently, the IRS, who has been taxing American citizens to death, and our government sending all that money to foreign countries, a situation that the globalists and the foreign countries really liked, and the politicians who are bought off by these foreign countries and the globalists really liked. Unfortunately, Trump seems to be throwing a giant wrench in that, and now, again, is pissing off the rest of the world, and probably going to ingratiate himself very, very deeply with all American people if he accomplishes it. I, for one, believe this is an incredible idea, and I really hope that the IRS is completely offset by the ERS. It makes complete sense. If we take the money from the ERS and we don't spend it on foreign wars and we don't ship it off to foreign countries, maybe we can use it here to do things like, I don't know, fill our reservoirs with water.
That dude, that's funny, right? He got a dry sense of humor, but that was funny. I caught what he was saying. Yeah. So you heard it there. Trump's new rollout, the internal revenue services, and he pretty much running the guy. He said he's gonna run the. Hey, I got to give it to Trump though. For so far, he been a man of his word. But hey, that's how they sell us. I ain't gonna never trust him. I'm just sorry. He too pale for me. And I ain't racist. And then he just something funny off some bottom. I don't like. I'm from the old school. Something funny about him. I don't like Joe Biden either. I don't like none of them. I ain't never liked none of the politics. I don't like Obama. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man. He ain't black enough. You You know what I'm saying? I know my Moors in here saying, "Oh, he's talking about," but you say black. The word black is like look down upon, right? Because we know the game now. We know the game was to turn us into crayons. That was part of the game. Let's roll another one.
Today, I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime. You know what that means? Think of that. Think of that. Think of that. That gives people more of an incentive to work. It gives the companies it's a lot easier to get the people. And, you know, I went to some economists, great ones, and I said, what do you think? They said, it would be unbelievable. You'll get a whole new workforce by doing that. No taxes on overtime. The people who work overtime are among the hardest working citizens in our country. And for too long, no one in Washington has been looking out for them. Those are the people. They really work. They're police officers, nurses, factory workers, construction workers, truck drivers, and machine operators. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break, and that's what we're doing because this is a good one. And I think it's going to be great for the country. So that's why we will be saying that if you're an overtime worker when you're past 40 hours a week, think of that. Your overtime hours will be tax-free. Okay? Good? You're going to have it, too. And unlike Biden, where he tells you that you don't have to pay yours.
Setting them up for the kill, man. Y'all better go read Revelations 42 months. It said something about 42 months. I got to remember what it said. About it was going to be 42 months, 3.5 years of peace, and then 3.5 years. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, that's what it said, 42 months. Revelations chapter 13, verse 5. Now listen to this, how I'm going to read it out. Hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Matter of fact, I'm going to read it out. Some people don't like the, like I say, the Injil is different. The Bible, the Injil wasn't part of the Bible. They added it in. The Bible was put together in 325. All the other books, they brought these books together. Let me see, 15. Is that right? Hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, man. Hold on, it's 3:15. No, it's 3:35. All right, hold on just a second, y'all. Verse 13 and 5. This is what you get right here. 13:5. And it says, and there was given unto him a mouth to speak great things. This nigga speaking great things. He said, oh yeah. He's saying, oh yeah, we're gonna give you tax-free money, all this good stuff that he's speaking. And blaspheme and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth with blaspheme against God. That's coming. To blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, because Trump, he bagging up Israel. It's a reason for that. And then Trump, when he was in office last time, he was the one that was promoting rebuilding the Solomon's temple, which is really Roman. We can get into that. We can get into the paradigm of it. But Trump was talking about rebuilding Solomon's temple, and that's part of the all the prophecies of this guy. And then Barron Trump is the Antichrist. Allegedly, I said allegedly for his son. You gotta look at this guy, man. When he come out and how prideful he is. Lucifer was a prideful dude. I'm telling you, man, I know who these people are. I was with them back then. They was all with us until they turned on Mikael. And look at everybody that turned on Mikael. Look at them now. Watch how they look now. It's time to pay the piper now. Everybody that turned on Mikael. Polite, all y'all. 1 minute you with us, the next minute you not. To try to look good on TV. But just, hey, 3.5 years, how long we got? How long he been in there? So he gonna run this game on us to about 2008 June. He gonna 2028 June. Donald Trump will unleash the Kraken and let y'all know he a dictator. You heard it here first. This is a republic. It's still a republic, but I'm the king. It's a monarch republic. I'm telling you, man. Seen it all. Obama, he can't be the Antichrist. He don't fit the description no more. He don't even got no power no more. Matter of fact, Obama might be already out of business already. Or they did him like they did Hitler and sent him underground to the Brazilian bunkers, to where he don't even come in the public no more. It's like that. So, but here's the real cold piece about it. Here's the cold piece about it, about all of this. Tell them what's going on, Duke. Hey, shout out Duke Tears, man. Tell them what's going on,
And
Duke.
you still put yourself under these people and want to believe that you are a U.S. citizen? No, you're not. The U.S. corporation, the occupational government, which was founded in 1861 under the Emergency War Powers Act that eventually came what they call the Libra Code. If you really want to get into it, what really happened was that they forced an agenda. And Lincoln and them put out something to say that the United States federal government, which is a foreign government, to the Republic of the to the Republic of so-called America, what they call United States of America and General Congress assembled. That's the original preamble government that existed here under the Articles of Confederation, under the Articles of Association. And that government was based on our people. Right. Period. So when Lincoln came in, he said, we're going to make the Negro and the white man both equal under the federal government. And those of us that was free said, hell no. I'm not going to be equal to the people you just bringing over here as slaves. Right. And so we fought a war. That's what the war was about. That's what the war was about. The right for the individual estates to maintain a confederacy. And so a white confederacy was founded outside of our original Haudenosaunee Confederacy to fight the white so-called government. And in return, they would receive certain benefits from us. When they lost the war, all the countries, all the states that were going to be let back into the United States had to adopt the 14th Amendment. And if they didn't, they would be burned down and killed. Which, the 14th Amendment, which was? The 14th Amendment, which says that everybody is basically a slave under the federal government, and that involuntary slavery is illegal so long as you're not punished by a crime. So if we can lock you up, you can be a slave legally. And so that created the original so-called Libra Code that was then adopted by the Belgian Conference in 1888, which then led to the deep colonization of Africa. You understand? So what I'm showing you is they use the same code here to break our republic and then force everybody into being citizens of the United States, which means that they are subject to a foreign power, an inferior state, when they were subjects of a foreign power, which was the republic and the empire that was already here.
So y'all up to speed. You should be up to speed on the 14th Amendment and what subjects. Sub means to throw, sub means below, and ject means to throw. So when they say subjects, they're throwing you below. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much in the dungeon. Right? So you already should know about the 14th Amendment and how they ratified all that. Lincoln, he ain't free no slaves, transferred to Christian property to Congress. You already know about that part, right? We already beat that over your head 2,000 times. Another thing that Duke mentioned is the Libra codes. We got a tape out on the Libra codes. We got a tape out on the Autos of Confederate. We got all this information on the video side. If you want to get an extensive breakdown of all of this, what I want to tell you else that he said. Oh yeah, so when he said that the white people, when they see it wasn't no slavery like they telling you. 1865, the people that were slaves, that were brought over. When he said that some slaves were brought over, right, and he said we didn't want to be mixed with them. They talking about white slaves. And I gotta be more technical with the term white too, because that's tricky too, right? Free white man, that's tricky, right? But the pale people were brought over by the Moors, by groups of Moors who had migrated to Africa. They brought these pale mans over as slaves. We got a whole tape on that called The Real Slave Trade. And so we didn't want to be mixed with the people that was brought over as slaves. We wasn't brought over as slaves. The Moors could never be slaves. Africans can't be slaves. Right? Africans can't be slaves because the word and linguistics don't apply to them. You mean prisoners of war? Right? So the Inquisition Revenue Services is officially, if you're just not tuning in, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. The Spanish Inquisition Revenue Services is officially shut down. Trump is saying that he rolling them out, getting them up, he rolling them up out of here. And he bringing in a new type of system, the Internal Revenue Services, which is, and I think they fired most of the employees because Trump said they was trying to bring 80,000 more soldiers in to rob us. To go ahead and put the last rob on us before they had to get up out of here. But they didn't make it in time. Trump made it just in time to save us. At least that's what they selling us. Because they gotta sell us into the hands of the dragon. I'm telling you, man. Doc put Trump on the front of the Leviathan 666 book, and that's for a reason. You got to go back and get the book. Go look up if you can find it. Get in touch with one of the. If you see one of the Sabine brothers, or one of the Nuwapian brothers, or if you can go to All Eyes on Me Culture Center in Atlanta. I think Charlotte got one and New York. We hoping they got one set up in Cali now on the West Coast. I think Mark Brady was trying to do one, but they sabotaged them. But you can get that scroll, the Leviathan 666 scroll, and it's got Trump on the cover. And then you'll see all the prophecies being fulfilled as far as what Doc was talking about, and as far as what we leading up to. But these guys lose. Keep in mind, like all the stuff that we've been putting out about the elites and their plans. Keep in mind, go read the Injil, Revelations chapter 12, verse 7. For you people that don't like the Bible, you better understand it. The Revelations and Injil, right? Go read it again. We win. Michael and his angels won. The devil don't win. The dragon don't win. So we don't give a damn what you elites do. It's already put into order that we won. All we got to do is stick to the program, because that's what it is, right? Because ain't no stopping us now. We on the move. And like Doc used to always say before he get out, right? Doc used to always say this. He says, we're going to win this war. Why? Because we can dance and they can't. Never have it been made so clear.